This is Penny Keener, Stampin' Up! Independent Demonstrator and the original KeenerINKer. Today we're going to be making an Always Grateful card using the Celebration Tidings bundle, which is the Celebration Tidings set, and the Celebration label dies. We're also going to be using the triple banner punch and one of the wrapped and texture embossing folders. We're going to be using Whisper White and Crumb Cake cardstock, and then some other fun papers. Our brush metallic cardstock, which is bronze, copper, and gold, as well as our Good Taste Designer Series paper. This one is super fun with the wood grains, the tiles, and also some textile patterns in it. For colors, we're going to be using the Memento Tuxedo Black pad, the Versamark pad, and then some Stampin' Blends. We have the light Blackberry Bliss, light and dark Old Olive, light and dark Pumpkin Pie, and also dark soft suede. The cardstock sizes we're using today, we have kind of a variety here. Our card base is a little bit different than normal. It's actually 5.5 by 5 1/8, scored at 4 1/4, and by doing that you have a little bit of an edge here at the bottom. Our metallic cardstock that we're using measures 1/2 by 5.5 inches. Our wood grain is 1 by 4, and then our crumb cake is 3 3/4 by 5 1/4. What I've done with the crumb cake is I ran it through the embossing folder, and that particular embossing folder is narrow, so I cut this cardstock so that has a little bit of non-textured at the top and the bottom, just to add a little bit of interest. So what we're going to do is add that to the front of our card. I'm going to put some ribbon on this, and this is the Old Olive one. It comes in the pack of all the trimmings Ribbo combo pack that has Old Olive and then Poppy Parade, but it gives it a really nice color, and it has that little bit of that metallic, kind of like a gold edging on it, a little pop of some bling. So I'm going to mount that to the front of my card. Okay, that looks pretty good there. The next thing I'm going to do is add my metallic piece, and this is actually going to go on the inside of my card. So when you open your card, you'll actually see it, but because we cut the cardstock a little short, you will see it from the front side as well. All right, so there's that. So this is what it's going to look like when you open it, and this is what it looks like from the outside. So it just gives it a little bit of an interest. So for the outside, we're going to stamp. I'm going to use the Stamparatus. This is 2 stamps, and I have them lined up because I wanted some spacing for wording. I have already run this through the die cut machine and have our shape ready. And I positioned this on here for this when it was already die cut out. When you're positioning the Stamparatus, you want to make sure if you're going to do that before or after you use your die cut. So this is a blank ink spot. What I did was I took my Tuxedo Black re-inker and I filled a blank one. So now I have a little spot for when I use the Stamparatus. I like using the spots when doing this because you don't get ink all over everything. All right, and here is the front of my card. Let me move that to the side. So I'm going to use the Stampin' Blends to color this in. I absolutely love the Stampin' Blends because you can do so many fun things, and you can do the shading with them as well. So I usually start with the lighter color, and I color in the entire image, and then I'll take the darker one and go back and add some details or shadowing. So on this one, I am just kind of drawing over the lines. And gives it some depth, and then I'm going to kind of do it along the line there to kind of give it some shadow. For the Old Olive, I'm going to start with the light one again and do some of the leaves. Then I'm going to do the dark one, and on the ones that have some detail, I'm going to go back and just kind of draw over those lines and give it some depth. Some of the smaller leaves, I'm just going to color solid. with my old olive. I wanted a pop of color because this is going to be kind of like a fall Thanksgiving card. So I'm using the Blackberry Bliss for that, kind of give it a purple tone. And so I'm coloring in the flower images with that. And some of these you can't tell necessarily, is it a flower, is it a leaf? Use whatever you want on it. And then like the stem here. All right, so when that's finished, it's going to look something like this here. So I'm going to put this on the front of my card, and I've already die cut out some of the little sprigs that come with the die set, and I kind of like to cheat. So instead of having to glue these on, I'm going to attach them with my dimensionals. I've already put some of them on, but I'm going to put on the other ones. So I'm going to take place them where I want them sticking out of the card, and then secure them with my dimensional on the back. That way they are secure, as well as allowing the card to pop up. So I liked these dies because if you notice they're going different directions, and there's two different ones, and so I've used both of them. Take the backings off. And then this is just going to go on to the center. Now for my sentiment, I'm actually going to emboss that. So let me set that aside. So for that, I'm going to use my Versamark pad. And here's my paper that I'm using. So to emboss, I'm going to take my Versamark pad, and it is a clear ink. So it's hard to see. I'm going to tap this, make sure it's evenly inked. And I'm going to stamp it into the center of my Designer Series paper. Embossing is one of those super fun things to do. There's always a wow as you see it changing from a powder form to the raised, shiny embossed. So if you can see, there's a little bit of excess powder on there, so I'm just going to rub it off. And if you notice, I had a piece of paper here I did my extra embossing powder on, so it goes right back into the container. And I still have a few flicks on there. Let me see if I can get those rubbed off. Before you use the heat tool, that's when you want to make any corrections. If you're ever missing anything, go ahead and heat set it, and then go back and use a blender pen to draw in that area, and then add a little more powder, because you just need something that's wet, and the blender pen will do that. All right, so I have my heat tool. This has two settings on it. I always use it on the higher, and if you don't want to use your finger to hold it, you can always use a pair of paper snips, because this tool does get really hot. And if you notice, I'm holding it about an inch above my project, and I'm not waving it around. It's not a hair dryer, you don't have to wave it around. So turn it off here so you can see. So the FUL has kind of started changing, and you can see everything before it is still kind of grainy. So now that it's started, I can just kind of move it along. Right, so here's my Always Grateful, and you can tell if it's done when you hold it up to the light. If you see any granular looking, that means you still need to continue heating it. Otherwise, if it's all glossy, it is finished. So I am going to use my triple banner punch for this, and you can push it all the way in, but usually when I do these, I have it where it's just a little bit over the edge, because I don't feel like I want to waste quite that much of my beautiful paper. So I'm evenly doing that about the same there. And when we look at that, it's pretty much centered in between there and there. And if you notice, I still have a little bit of those white flecks on there. They are heat set in there, but now it kind of has that rustic look to it as well. So I'm going to add 2 dimensionals on the back of this. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do 3 just for good measure. All right, take off the backings. And it fits right in here because I very purposely placed those apart. So here's my finished card. It's a nice Thanksgiving or a fall one or just an absolutely beautiful thank you one, but always grateful. The inside with a little bit of detail. What did the pumpkin say when asked how he was feeling? I'm fine. Thanks for asking. Please check out my website and subscribe to my channel for quick videos on how you can be a KeenerINKer too.